Hi, and welcome to today's class, which is all focused on using essential oils for spiritual growth. We hear a lot about how to use oils just for our typical daily health concerns. Maybe it's to open up our respiratory system, or it's to help with digestion, or maybe we have a skin blemish that we're working with. But in actuality, all physical issues stem from an emotional root, which can be a result of a spiritual disconnection. So we're going to talk about how oils can help us get reconnected to our spirituality and our growth. And it's not, denominational, and it's not any sort of specific religion that we're talking about. We're talking about connection to self and to the divine, and how we can strengthen that connection. So you'll learn why the frequency of essential oils elevates us spiritually, why the quality of an essential oil matters in this process, and then which oils we can use for growing ourselves spiritually. So my name is Amanda Brumell. Some of you know me. Some of you watching may not know me as well. You may be watching the recording. And I'm a holistic health coach, and I've been using essential oils for 6 years, coaching people for 14 years, and I've been on a very deep spiritual journey for my entire life. We all are. And so essential oils have really elevated my practice. And we're going to talk about how and why. So we are all created to function as a whole. And as you can see in this diagram, that there is, the body, mind, and spirit connection. And in many areas of health, we're only focused on the body. And then in some cases, certain practitioners have brought in the mind and how the mind can have an effect on how the body is functioning. But in typical modern medicine, we are divided into parts, and the doctor will address what's going on in our head. Say we have head tension, or maybe we're having some issues with our heart and they're just focused on the heart, or they're just focused on the liver. And it's not really, they're not really addressing how all of these things function together. They're all connected. They're literally connected in your body. And to me, it doesn't make sense to only address the heart when the heart is being influenced by the liver and the brain and the kidneys and the spleen. So really, we are functioning as a whole. And if there is something that is out of connection, then all of it is going to be affected. And it does, in some cases, start with symptoms being manifest in the body, that we notice there is a disconnection. But if we start to focus more on the mind and the spirit, oftentimes those physical issues never manifest, because things are in alignment and they are functioning as a whole. So our bodies are made up of intelligent cells that are wired to restore health. And I'm going to go into a little bit of the science for those of us who, love that rational side, because we're human. We have both, maybe a little bit of the woo, and we want some of the rational too. So I'm going to explain how the science interacts with all of this. So our cells want to be healthy. They are wired for wellness. And so if we are not feeling well, or if we are encountering any sort of dis-ease, I'm not talking about disease, chronic disease, I'm talking about any sort of dis-ease in the body where we're not feeling comfortable or something is upset, there's something that is usually interfering with that cell's purpose and journey to create health. And so oftentimes if we remove those blocks, or we remove that interference, the cell can do what it's meant to do. Sometimes we need to rejuvenate the cell or activate the cell in order for it to do what it needs to do. But the cell is critical in creating health, and it wants us to be healthy. That's the key thing to remember. So now when we talk about emotions, what's interesting is emotions are information carrying molecules. And when I first heard that, I had to back that up again, because emotions feel so ephemeral. You can't really feel that. I mean, you feel them, but you can't touch them. They're not tangible. You can't really see them. You can see someone's expression, so they're experiencing an emotion. But to me, I didn't quite understand, how are emotions information carrying molecules? But they are. They bind to our cell receptors. They get into our cells and they impact function and behavior. So say you're experiencing a lot of sadness. That sadness, it's actually information carrying molecules, and it's traveling through your body and interacting with your cells. So in essence, if you're feeling happy, then you're going to have the happy information carrying molecules that are binding to your cells and interacting with your cells. So the more we feel, the more it's going to affect our body and our cellular structure. So it's important that we have more of an effect on how we want to feel. And we can have more control over that based on what we think, because what we think often influences how we feel. And then feeling and thought, when we marry the two of them, it creates beliefs. And beliefs are the thing that really define who we are and how our life unfolds. And so if we're shifting what we think and shifting how we feel, we can create new beliefs and create a whole new path in our lives. So it's important to know that emotions are affecting our bodies in very key ways, and they can be lingering inside of ourselves and affecting ourselves over time. And emotions and essential oils interact chemically. So essential oils have the ability to affect emotions, which then also affect our cells and how our cells are expressed and function in our bodies. So in a one drop of essential oil, there are 40 million trillion molecules. There are not even that many cells in the human body. So one drop of essential oil has the power to affect every single cell in the body multiple times over in a matter of minutes. So when we're using essential oils, it's a very fast way to elevate the system and to clear our body of perhaps any low vibrational emotions or thoughts, and recreate a positive stream of thoughts and emotions so that our bodies can start to function at a higher vibration. So essential oils can support cell receptors, promote healthy cell function, and maintain cells' natural state, which is health. Remember, the natural state is wellness. So essential oils are contributing to that. And and as a byproduct, it's having a positive effect on our emotional health. And wild orange is one of these oils. It's the oil of abundance. So if we're looking to create more joy, more love, more financial support, just more possibility in our lives, wild orange is a wonderful oil to use in a diffuser or internally. Now, essential oils have an electrical frequency or a vibration that is measured in megahertz. So there is a professional named Bruce Tanio, and he created this system of measuring essential oils, and he has been studying them at the Budwig Center for Natural Therapies in how essential oils can influence cancer cells. So everything has an electrical frequency in the world. The human brain, you can see, has a frequency. The human body, you can see that the frequency lowers when you have cold symptoms, flu symptoms. Any dis-ease in the body will create a lower frequency. You can see processed and canned foods have zero. It's basically like pointless to eat them. I mean, obviously, if you're in a situation where you have no access to food and it's the only option, what can you do, right? But fresh produce, herbs are much higher in frequency. And as you can see, essential oils are off the charts in their frequency. So if you are feeling unwell and you feel like you need a boost in energy or vibration or positive thoughts, essential oils are the fastest way to affect that. Now, they have the highest frequencies on the planet. And this is why when you use essential oils, you don't need very much, because it's going to have a positive effect. Those 40 million trillion molecules are going to go into your body with just one drop. So it's wonderful because you get a bottle of essential oil that's 250 drops, and that's going to last you quite a long time because you really don't need very much to affect your system. What's amazing about what we consume and what we put into our bodies is, and what we put around our bodies has an effect. Because in one of the studies that this man did, Bruce Tanio, and I hope I'm saying his name right, a man's frequency dropped just by holding a cup of coffee. He didn't even consume the coffee. He just held it, and his frequency dropped. So you have to be cognizant of who you're surrounding yourself with. That's why they say you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, because other people's, just their frequency can affect your frequency and interact with your body. So whatever we surround ourselves with will affect us. And that's one of the reasons why diffusing essential oils is so powerful, because you are affecting the space in your home all day long and boosting that frequency and helping to mitigate any of that dis-ease. You need to be careful the quality that you choose, however, because the potency, the purity, and the efficacy is going to affect how high the frequency of that oil is. If you're using an oil that's cut with other components, maybe it's chemicals or preservatives, those are going to have a much lower frequency, and it means that the effect that you have on your system is going to be much lower. So it's very critical that you're choosing a high quality essential oil. It's one of the reasons that I love doTERRA, because I know that the plants are treated well. They're treated with love and care and respect. And so are the people who are cultivating those plants. So the frequency of that oil starts with the seedling. It starts with the intention of planting the seedling. And over the course of the life of that plant, the way it's treated and harvested and manufactured is all part of the frequency process. And doTERRA is very conscious of how they are sourcing, and they are doing so with such integrity that the product that we get in the end is full of that. And you can feel it. If you even just hold different essential oils, I personally can feel the difference in the frequency. If you need a little more, tangible proof, try ingesting oils from different companies. And what's a key trigger for you to know, or a clue, is if an oil like a lemon oil is ingestible by one company but not ingestible by another company, you have to wonder. I mean, you can eat lemons. Why wouldn't you be able to consume lemon essential oil? If a company doesn't say that it's safe to ingest, you got to really question that. And so doTERRA's oil, a lemon oil, is perfectly safe to ingest. It has supplement facts on the bottle, so you know that you can ingest it. So they have no fillers, no preservatives, no chemicals. They're very stringently tested to ensure that it's just the pure oil. So the frequency of that oil is going to be so much higher than if it were not as pure. The way you can use oils to affect the frequency of your body, obviously smell, aromatic. It's the fastest way to affect the mood, and which is then going to affect the thoughts that you have and the feelings that you feel and your overall frequency in your body. So aromatic molecules have direct access to the brain. They go through your nose, through the olfactory system, and to the limbic system, which manages mood, emotions, and memory. So diffusion is critical, and it's something that I recommend doing as much as possible. If you want to stimulate any sort of self-repair physically, say that you have had maybe some congestion in your chest, or you've been having head tension. A lot of that can be physical symptoms that are coming from stress or grief, or maybe there is some other sort of anger that's coming up for you, and you can use oils on those areas directly. And that will help to unleash and release some of those emotional molecules that may be stuck in the cellular structures in those areas. And you can start to release it. I recommend when you do these things to be drinking lots of water with lemon oil, because it's naturally cleansing. And then obviously internal use, like I was just saying with lemon oil, that's something that you can do to balance the chemical reactions in your body. And so it's a fast way to get the oils into your digestive system and into your bloodstream. Especially if you're putting oils under your tongue, because when you put oils under your tongue, it bypasses the digestive system and goes straight into your bloodstream. So internal use is a way to affect the body overall. So if you really feel like you're struggling at any certain point emotionally, taking oils internally is a powerful way to affect all systems in the body. So we're going to go into some oils, and I'm going to talk about my top 10 favorite oils. There are so many oils for spiritual use. And in fact, I recommend if you do want to learn more about oils and emotions and spirituality, I don't know if you can see this book, but it's the Emotions and Essential Oils book, Emotions and Essential Oils. This is an older version, but they sell it on aromatools.com. This book is incredible. It talks about every oil that doTERRA carries and how you can use it for spiritual growth. But I've singled out some of my top 10 because they also are really powerful for physical release too. And if we're working on both, if we're working on our physical discomfort and our emotional discomfort at the same time, it's going to create so much more spiritual connection. So Roman chamomile is the oil of spiritual purpose. And this is an oil that I love to diffuse, especially at night or before meditation, because while you're diffusing during sleep, you're working on your subconscious mind. So anything that your conscious mind doesn't want to let go of, while you're diffusing at night, it's going to subconsciously let things go. So when you wake up in the morning, you may feel lighter and clearer. So Roman chamomile helps to let go of anything that we are attached to. If we are attached to a certain amount of wealth or fame or, influence, there may be certain tensions around that or anxieties around that if we're not creating what we have desired in those areas. And that's all ego driven. So it lets us connect more with our true life purpose. So if we're like, oh my gosh, I'll only be successful if I am making a certain amount of money, well, maybe our true life's purpose is to live on a commune and garden, So Roman chamomile helps us let go of our expectations and get closer to what our true purpose is. And it also helps us to become more open to help and support from others. Sometimes we ignore the messages that we're getting because we are so fixated on a certain outcome. And so Roman chamomile opens us up to messages, especially from our spirit guides. And this is another reason why diffusing at night is great, because you're going into that sort of spirit realm, and you can get messages perhaps through your dreams, or maybe you wake up with a certain thought. And that's why I love to use Roman chamomile for that purpose. The oil of protection. Oh man, this oil I use all the time just for immune support, because it wards off parasites and other things that we do not want energetically in our bodies. So if it's warding off energetic things, then it can also ward off physical things. So this is an oil that we can use to strengthen our boundaries and help us to live in integrity. So using Roman chamomile and On Guard together would be really powerful. So this is an oil that you would use to cleanse your aura, just to kind of, you could put it in your palms and just kind of cleanse your aura, and it helps to put a sort of protective bubble around you. I was working with a woman who kept getting verbally abused by her boss at work, and she started putting On Guard behind her ears and on her wrists, and she noticed within the first day of doing it, her boss started ignoring her. And she came in, I was in a coaching circle, and she came in, she's like, he just like couldn't see me. Like he just walked into the room and then ignored me and didn't, say the things that he normally says. So I would recommend experimenting with this for yourself. If you have any sort of negative energy in your life, just start using this as a little bit of like a, may the force be with you kind of oil. It helps to release codependent tendencies, emotional viruses that may come from negative group thought. So, say you get into like a Facebook fight, just use some On Guard on yourself, just to protect yourself from that negative vibe, and then just extract yourself from the situation, because it's not worth it. So I love putting this on the bottoms of my feet before meditation also. Oil of wellness is eucalyptus, and it helps us let go of our attachment to illness. So if we are stuck in victim mentality, or if we're always getting sick, or if we're always the one who feels like the world is out to get us, or nothing goes right for us, or something's always failing, this helps us let go of that attachment. And we can start to take full responsibility for our health and everything that happens to us in our lives. We are fully responsible. We are not the victim of anything. So this really helps us step outside of our comfort zone if we're feeling restricted by life. So if right now in quarantine, you're feeling physically restricted and emotionally restricted, this will help open things up. And consequently, it's also really good for the lungs. So it releases grief and helps open up the heart chakra. And it just opens up more possibility to things that we may not have considered in the past. So if you are in conflict with someone, if there's any negative energy present, eucalyptus is in On Guard already. But if you wanted to magnify the power of On Guard, you could put the two of them together and diffuse them. So On Guard is something that I also recommend ingesting. But there's such small amounts of eucalyptus in On Guard that it's safe to ingest. Eucalyptus on its own is not recommended to ingest. So this is an oil you could use topically, put it in the shower. The bath, if you put it in the bath, it might be too harsh on the skin. But if you put a couple of drops on the bottom of a hot shower, it'll steam. And that's a way to kind of affect the respiratory system and also the emotional system at the same time. Frankincense is the oil of truth. This oil is incredibly powerful. I mean, this oil has been used since before Christ, right? It's talked about a lot about in the Bible, even in Jewish cultures. A lot of cultures have used frankincense as an anointing oil. And it's something that is often used to connect with the divine Father. And whatever that means to you, whether you believe in God or, a different kind of divine father, or whether it's your own father, if you're having any sort of conflict with your own father, it just lets go of any low vibrations, any negativity, and helps us create new perspectives that are based on light and truth. So it's a great oil to put on your crown chakra, third eye, also under the tongue or the roof of the mouth, because you just want to get it into your brain. It's very nourishing for the brain physically. But it also opens us up emotionally and spiritually and helps to release feelings of abandonment. So if you are, the type of person in a relationship where you're worried that your partner is going to leave you, or maybe before they leave you, you leave them, this is an oil that will help you to release some of those tendencies. It helps to cultivate healthy masculinity. So if you're a person who needs to go all the time and do all the time and create and produce, and it creates a lot of stress and anxiety for you, this may be an oil to use to help calm that down and allow some of that feminine energy to balance the masculine so that it doesn't feel so toxic. The masculine doing and giving can be very powerful, and it's necessary for us to function in our lives, but it can, in our culture, kind of shift into toxicity because it ends up not serving us anymore. It ends up being the only thing we focus on, and then we don't honor the moments where we need to be quiet and connected to our intuition. Fortunately, quarantine is teaching a lot of us how to do that. I mean, we don't have a choice. There's nowhere to go, nothing to do. So we're being forced to be quiet and connect to ourselves. So frankincense is a really beautiful oil. And if you wanted to have the balance of feminine and masculine, rose or jasmine oil matched with frankincense would be really good for meditation, to have that experience, the energetic frequency of both healthy masculinity and healthy femininity. So if you want to connect more to awareness and inspiration, this would be a great oil. Frankincense would be an oil to use before meditation. The oil of sacred devotion is sandalwood. I absolutely am obsessed with the smell of sandalwood. I could just stick the 2 bottles up each nostril and just walk around all day sniffing sandalwood. It's the oil of sacred devotion, and it helps to mend very deep spiritual and emotional wounds. So if you were maybe, wounded by a religion and are skeptical of anything connected to spirit or spirituality or any of that because of past experiences, this is an oil that can help to release that. It inspires openness and promotes the ability to trust, because really when we don't trust, it is a lack of spiritual connection. Spiritual connection is a faith in something greater than us, whatever that might look like. And so if we don't trust, then there is a lack of trusting that the universe or whoever is guiding us is doing it out of benevolence. So the more we can connect to our belief and our faith in whatever form that may take, the more at ease we are, the less stress we feel, the less stomach upset we might feel as a result of stress. Sandalwood also releases material attachments and the need for acceptance. So we can begin to have self-acceptance rather than looking to others to accept us. It helps to quiet our mind so we can really hear the messages of spirit, or maybe it's just the messages of our own intuition, which could be influenced by spirit. So this is a great oil for third eye and crown chakra before meditation. You can combine any of these oils. Frankincense and sandalwood are a powerhouse combination. And they're so high vibe that it's hard not to feel good when you're using them. Now remember, the key is consistency. So it's not like you use sandalwood once and then you're clear of all of these things. You have to use them consistently, and over time you're going to begin to shift the emotional molecules in your body, which then shift the way they interact with your cell receptors, and then the cells, when they divide in your body and regenerate, there's going to be more cells with receptors for happiness instead of receptors for sadness. So the more you can cultivate positive feeling on a consistent basis, the more your body is going to regenerate towards that direction. So you're rewiring your system over time. Every 6 months, your entire body regenerates and you have brand new cells. So you literally become a new person every 6 months. So you have the possibility of completely changing your system within that period of time. But we are trained, because of modern medicine, to have quick fixes, like you'll just be done overnight. But then there's all these side effects that we're just sort of like, oh, whatever, no big deal, just worry about that later. So with oils, you may not get that exact overnight experience. Some people do, but it's more likely that you're going to have to use things consistently over time to notice a difference. So just also trust that process. So this would be a good oil if you're feeling skeptical about that waiting period and you want instant proof. Neroli, another oil I could sniff all day, honestly. This is the oil of shared purpose and partnership. If you are looking to create long-term intimate partnership with someone, which ultimately really is a divine union, then neroli is something you'd want to use every day, all day. On the wrists, pulse points, behind the neck, on the heart space. It promotes self-acceptance and courage and love and responsibility. And it spurs creative energy, which is also sexual energy because it comes from the sacral chakra. So sacral chakra governs creative and sexual energy. And you can create spiritual connection through sexual intimacy. So this is something that I would recommend if you are already in partnership, you can use with your partner, and it helps just to foster connection. It's also an aphrodisiac, of course. So apply to pulse points, sacral chakra, heart space, like I mentioned. And this is something that if you need more consistency in your spiritual practice, this is a great oil to be using consistently. It will help to inspire consistent spiritual connection. Oil of communication. This is a brilliant oil to use if you need to have a difficult conversation with somebody. It calms our fears about being seen and heard. And oftentimes we're afraid to speak our truth because we're afraid that the person listening will not receive us or understand us. So this helps to calm those fears and also helps us to express ourselves more clearly. It also cuts cords to unhealthy past relationships and past events. So this is a good oil to put inside your belly button to literally cut energetic cords. So you can dilute it with some fractionated coconut oil and insert it inside the belly button. Just rub it in and around the belly button to help cut any cords. So if you have any past lovers or friendships that you just feel still have energetic hooks in you, like anytime you think about them, you either get like a knot in your stomach or your heart kind of drops. You probably still have an energetic connection to them. And so you want to start cutting those energetic cords. This oil also encourages emotional honesty. So it just helps you to get more connected to how you're truly feeling. Because oftentimes when we react in a trigger and we have that initial reaction, there's actually a deeper feeling that trigger is covering, because the deeper feeling is scarier to us. It's the truer feeling. It's usually the more wounded child feeling. And the initial reaction is just that sort of Band-Aid reaction. This is an oil that I recommend to use if you want to communicate more with your spirit guides and with your angels. Now, I will say a lot of people like to use lavender at night for sleep. For me, I end up not being able to sleep because it increases my communication with spirit guides so much that I'm just like stimulated all night. Like I can't sleep. So for some people, they like lavender because it increases communication and calms the system, and they're still able to sleep. For me, I can't do it. So for me, I use Serenity for sleep because it has lavender in it, but it also has some grounding oils that get me out of my head and more connected to my body so I can communicate with my whole body, not just my head. But lavender is great on the throat chakra, and you can also put it in a diffuser as well. So I love lavender, and it's also good physically for so many different things, calming the skin, calming any irritations in the body, and it does the same thing emotionally and spiritually. So the oil of focus is lemon. And this oil helps to clear self-judgments and calm insecurities. And we can release any sort of confusion or worry, any sort of clutter and detoxification in our emotional mind. Lemon helps to clear it out so that we can focus. So it's like Marie Kondo your brain with lemon oil. Just only have what brings you joy in your brain. And it will help to, oops, what happened? Let me go back to the slideshow. Okay, here we go. So it restores feelings of joy and happiness. And if you are struggling with concentration during meditation, lemon is an ideal oil to diffuse. Or you can have a glass of water and drink lemon in water. Of course, always use glass, ceramic, or stainless steel when you're drinking your water. Don't put it in any plastic or styrofoam because the lemon can start to break down the synthetics in those materials. So lemon is just very detoxifying physically, and it's going to do the same thing with your mind clutter. So I love that oil. The oil of divine love. Rose essential oil has the highest frequency on the entire planet. It is the closest frequency to love that exists in a plant form. And you wonder, like, why do people give roses on Valentine's Day? It's because it's a literal expression of love, because the plant, the chemical constituents of the plant are so high vibe. So this opens us up to unconditional love and teaches divine grace, nurturing, comfort. So this is an oil that you want to use on your heart chakra. I absolutely love this oil. I'm almost out of my oil because I have this little basket of rollers that I leave right by my computer, and I just use them throughout the day. When I'm on a call, I'll just like sometimes put something on my chest or put it behind my ears. So the rose I would just, put on my chest or behind my ears. Any pulse points are great. But if you're looking to, if you're feeling like you're not trusting a partner, or you are feeling unworthy, or you keep attracting partners who are disappearing or not valuing you, this rose oil will help to create more self-love, more love for self, so that we are not as influenced by other people's reactions to us, and we can start attracting that which we seek, because we need to energetically match what we desire. So if we want to attract more high vibe people into our lives, we need to raise our own vibration. We have to be responsible for how we are showing up in the world. Who is the person that you want to attract? We want to be that person first. And then rosemary, this is the final oil I want to share. It's the oil of knowledge and transition. So it releases psychic and spiritual blocks. So a lot of the time there's just things that are intercepting our ability to connect with our divine purpose and our divine guidance. Rosemary is very cleansing. You can massage it into the scalp. It's also good for hair growth. It helps to inspire trust in a higher power, especially during times of change. So rosemary right now, during what's happening, and there's so much uncertainty in the world, this would be an ideal oil to use every day. It helps to awaken us to our psychic abilities and our spiritual consciousness. So I do feel like there is an awakening across the planet to become more sovereign over our own bodies and less dependent on what other people are telling us is truth, and listen more to our inner voice of what we know is true, because only we know what's best for us, not our doctor, not our senator, not our parents. No one knows what is best for us except us. And so to get more connected to that truth, this is an ideal oil to use. I recommend using it during the day in the morning, because it can be a little too stimulating at night for some people. I like using it at night because it kind of calms my brain down before sleep. But again, everybody's different, so you get the chance to experiment with different options. Now, there are more oils. There's cedarwood, there's patchouli, there's spikenard, there's fennel and myrrh and tea tree. Oh my gosh, so many oils. So that emotions book is critical to have, so that you can look up anything you might be experiencing, and you'll find an oil that can support you physically and emotionally and spiritually. Now, there's a full moon this tomorrow morning. It's going to peak at 6:45 a.m. Eastern time. If you want to do some sort of full moon ritual, it's the time to do releasing. So oils like rosemary, tea tree, frankincense will help connect to truth. Those types of oils would be great to use in some sort of full moon meditation ritual if you have one. If you don't have one, just Google full moon meditation ritual May 2020. Tons of things will pop up. And those oils that I mentioned, I mean, really any oil would be supportive, but those oils especially would be good for any sort of, you want to do some affirmations or a release ceremony. Essential oils are great for just releasing old energy and allowing space for new positive things to come to your life. Now, for those of you who are not already using oils at home, there are 3 ways to purchase them. You can get them retail, which is the most expensive way, and nobody here is going to get them retail. It doesn't make any sense. Unless you're getting them from a spa or a chiropractor's office, it's just the most expensive way to buy them. So the second way to get them is wholesale. It works similarly to like a Costco membership, where you pay a fee and you get all the oils for a year at a 25% discount. And the fee for a year is only $35. It's very low. And then the third way to get your oils, and this is the most popular way, it's the smartest way to get your oils, is you get them at wholesale, and then you can get product points that actually you save up and redeem on free products. And you can get up to 30% back on your products over time. So with a 25% discount and up to 30% back on your products, that's giving you 55% lower than retail. So I'm not going to get too far into that right now. If it's something you want to explore, just feel free to reach out. Now, doTERRA offers these really awesome kits so that you can get that $35 membership for free. This Healthy Essentials kit is one I'd recommend because it has so many of the spiritual oils I recommended. If you're really looking to go in that direction, this is a great oil. This is a great kit to try, because you get the petal diffuser, which runs up to 12 hours. And then you're getting lavender, lemon, On Guard, there's in the digestion, there's fennel, which is one of those other oils that's super powerful for spiritual connection. Breathe has eucalyptus in it already. Peppermint is the oil of a buoyant heart. And so this is a good combination of oils for both physical concerns that you might have and spiritual and emotional concerns. And then this kit is awesome because it's a smaller kit that you can customize with additional oils. So it comes with these 4 baseline products, which people use every single day. You're going to use Lemon and On Guard and Serenity every day. And Deep Blue is awesome for people who are active. This is the gateway product for men who are maybe a little skeptical about the woo side of oils. And then you can add on any other oils to this kit. You could add on rosemary or sandalwood or frankincense, anything else that you want to add. You can customize for yourself. So those are my 2 recommended kits if you're really looking to get started with oils for spiritual growth. And then when you choose to work with me or the person who invited you to this class, you get to have a doTERRA membership and you get to choose one of 3 paths. So there are typically 3 types of people that join doTERRA. There's people who just want to live the wellness lifestyle. They want to enjoy the discounts and the promotions. They want to learn more about oils and get access to free education. And they just want to be a customer. Then there's people who get so excited about the oils that they want to share it with every person they know because they've had such a positive experience. And those people start naturally sharing. And by doing that, they can get their own personal orders paid for. And so you basically get free healthcare. And then the third way is people who see what I'm doing and they're like, I could do that. I totally want to do that. I want to earn an income. I want to change people's lives. And this feels like a good next step for me. So for those people who want to build a business, they can either supplement or replace their income. And there's a very simple process to follow in order to create income. And that's something that you can talk to with the person who invited you to this class. So what I'd love for you to do is if you're watching this, connect with the person who invited you. So if I invited you, shoot me an email, amanda@realurbanwellness.com, and let me know what your experience was of this class and if there's a way that I can support you with your spiritual, emotional, or physical growth. I would love to be a positive influence in your life and help you to see that there is another way to create health and wellness in your life, that you do not have to be dependent on a certain way of thinking, that there are so many possibilities to transforming our health. And I hope that this was useful information for you. And I appreciate you being here. Thank you for your time. And have a wonderful, glorious, emotionally uplifted, and spiritually connected day.